Welcome back. We turn now to some big news happening in the true crime community as newly released drawings from the self-proclaimed BTK serial killer might have helped police identify one of his possible victims. Dennis Rader is his real name. This is him, sicko. He dubbed himself BTK because it stands for bind, torture, and kill. And this guy was active in Kansas back in 1974 all the way up to 1991. Thank goodness he was apprehended and in 2005 went to prison, currently serving 10 consecutive life sentences. But recently, police have begun investigating him again because his own journal entries have given law enforcement some big clues to solving some cold cases. For more on these new possible victims, here's Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson.
Strangled her.
What did you strangle her with?
Pantyhose.
Serial killer Dennis Rader, known as BTK, a self-given nickname which stands for bind, torture, kill, played a cat and mouse game with investigators for decades before being caught and convicted of 10 murders dating back to 1974. His victims he referred to as projects.
They do gain pleasure with these heinous crimes, so I actually think this is very credible and quite likely that there could be more decedents associated with BTK.
Rader is now considered the prime suspect in at least 2 cold cases. The 1976 death of 16-year-old Cynthia Kinney, who disappeared from a laundromat in Osage County, Oklahoma, and the murder of 22-year-old Shauna Garber, who disappeared in McDonald County, Missouri. Her autopsy revealed that she had been raped, strangled, and bound.
You know, he started off with he only committed the 10 that he confessed to, and there was no others.
Police started investigating Rader after learning that the bank across the street from where Cynthia Kinney had disappeared had a security system installed around that same time, and that Rader had once worked as a security installer for ADT.
Through that information and some of his book that he was creating in 1976, he's got a project he called Bad Laundry Day. He has it marked for Chapter 9, and Chapter 9 of his book was his actual murder.
So investigators paid him a visit behind bars, where Rader brought up a project he claims he didn't carry out.
And he told me that he always wanted to kidnap a girl from laundry.
What's your reaction to that? Do you think that it's possible?
I didn't know, and that it didn't fit my dad's MO.
Carrie Rawson is the daughter of Dennis Rader. In August 2023, officials searched the property where Rawson's childhood home once stood. In search of trophies, they dug under concrete and collected several items of interest, including pantyhose.
My father's a huge narcissist, so he's a sexual sadistic psychopath and a pathological liar. And so he absolutely loves the attention.
Matt Johnson reporting there, and we've got him live in the studio this morning. Matt, good morning to you. Oh boy, you've been all over this case, researching this guy for years.
Yeah.
Now, brand new stuff with these drawings, huh?
Right, and this is some of the evidence that was confiscated from his home in 2005 when he was arrested, but some of them newly released to the public because they're really asking for the public to weigh in, hopefully get some answers here with some unsolved cases. Remember, now he is being investigated for upwards of 9 missing persons or unsolved murder cases in 3 states, including Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. We talked about 2 there. And this particular drawing right there, the lady in the green, they say could hold a big clue in solving that Cindy Dawn Kinney case. But they're not saying officially if it's her. It's still being investigated. As for his daughter, we know she was in that piece that we just shared with you. She has been visiting with him behind bars, also trying to think back with her own memories of living with Dad. And here's what she shared with CNN.
We're very concerned that sketches were actually drawn in real life. They're first person. We believe he has several more missing and murdered. There are at least 9 cases that have been reopened across 3 states. We're looking at several more. I'm not at liberty to discuss complete numbers right now. I don't think anybody has a concept really of full numbers. There's 200 of these drawings. We're trying to sort out, are these actual crime scenes? Are they actual missing victims?
Really important stuff here, and that's the reason why police want you to take a good look at that and also maybe recognize the surroundings that he drew. Apparently, he was a drafter. He would also, in his home during the winter months, map out the garden, so he became a good drawer. And they're seeing a lot of similarities in the possible victims to some photographs. Again, they're sharing what they can at this point, but they're hoping that people also identify the barns because of possible locations of where bodies or trophies may be. Julie.
Oh my, Matt. And I understand that he's very much aware in prison of what's going on. I understand he likes news about himself, doesn't he?
He loves attention, right? Well, I mean, he's a narcissist, he's a psychopath, and you know, he is someone that tried to insert himself in the Idaho killings case by talking about, you know, well, Brian Koberger studied my life and what I did. And then he also tries to insert himself in Rex Heuermann, saying that he copied me. He's a copycat because he lived as a sheep or a wolf in sheep's clothing. You know, had a family and a job and that sort of thing. So this guy loves the attention right now, but not cooperating and saying that he's not involved.
No, I know his daughter's certainly trying to get him to talk. Matt Johnson all over this one for us. Thank you so much for your early reporting today. We'll see you later. I want to bring back in my guest and talk some more about this. Still with me, retired Police Sergeant Melissa Pinkleton and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Joe Tamburino, both standing by watching along. I've got a clip for you both. I want to play this one where Carrie Ross, and this is from that same interview Matt was just showing us that she did with CNN, and she's talking about how her dad has not given up many details surrounding the locations of these bodies in the cold cases.
When I've asked him, he's run me down a lot of rabbit holes. He's done a lot of speculative speak, a lot of profiling. He comes up with theories, and then I'll say something about one location, he'll mention another one, or he'll mention fishing with me by there. Then he'll jump to something else. I've asked him to draw maps of locations. We have many places to check. We've got him marked down on maps of possible sites that he's left evidence or possibly bodies. And so we have a good deal of work in front of us.
Applauding Carrie Rawson for all she is doing in trying to help these victims. Our hearts go out to her for so many reasons. Sergeant Pinkleton, this guy is never going to see the light of day. He's going to die in prison. Prosecutors are even willing to give him immunity on anything, any of these murders, just to give the families closure, because they know there would be no utility in putting him through a trial and going through anything else. Just give us the information is what they're saying, yet he still won't give it up. That's got to be so frustrating for law enforcement.
Absolutely, extremely frustrating, and especially when you are pretty certain or have the evidence, not quite to go to trial, but based on his patterns and based on things he's saying and only things that the killer would know, it is very frustrating. And the reason I truly believe he is a narcissist, he is a pathological liar, he is a psychopath, and the only thing he has control over right now is whether or not he talks about these cases. And so I believe that we may get some information from him at some point. It's not him anymore, but now he's back in the news again, and this is what he loves. And he even talked about he wanted to be one of the most notorious serial killers ever. That was one of his goals when he was doing this. So I believe that we might down the road get some information on some of these murders, but he's not going to talk until he feels like he wants to talk, because right now he is controlling all of this.
Yeah, he sure is, sadly. Thank you for that, Sergeant. I've got another clip of Carrie Ross, and I want to play now. Here's where she's talking about trying to shine a spotlight on these unsolved cases.
There's hundreds of thousands of missing and murder that are unsolved in this country. We need to put a lot of spotlight on it. We need to build cold case units. We need to build federal funding if we can't get it at the state. Right now, I'm speaking up because I've got law enforcement partners, and then I have other agencies that are not doing their due diligence, that missed things 20 years ago. I have regional and federal law enforcement that needs to step up. There's things that need tested. There's cases that need taken over possibly by the feds. So I'm using my platform and my voice to try to get spotlight on these very important cases.
Oh, wow. Again, that interview done by CNN. Joe Tamburino. Carrie Rawson, when you think about her, she's a victim, we know, in a whole nother way by her dad's despicable conduct. Yet she's making a choice to put herself out there publicly and go the other direction and try to help and try to right these wrongs. To me, she is just remarkable. Would you speak to that, please? You know, seeing her as a victim of his and now in this new role that she's choosing to take on as an advocate for the victims.
Well, hats off to her. I mean, she is remarkable. And I think one of the aspects of when you see people who have been victimized, and she has been, that they can move forward is when they take control of the situation. And I think that's what she's doing here. She's taking control of what she can control, which is helping the authorities to find out who did this, to prove it against her dad, getting information from her dad. And it is remarkable. But one more thing, I agree with Melissa that I think sooner or later, BTK is going to come forward with this information. Right now, he just wants to control it. But I think if all of a sudden the authorities start looking toward other suspects, I think BTK might give some hints that, no, it's not the other suspects, it's really me, because this is all a big game for him. So I think eventually he will give it up.
Joe Tamburino, I love your theory there. That makes so much sense. This guy, he wants the credit. So maybe if investigators, you know, do a little bit of reverse psychology on him, I think it's called, you know, where, oh, you didn't do these, no way, you know, do you deserve these body counts here? We're going to look at somebody else. We're going to look at Rex Heuermann or someone else who's in the news that he's paying attention to. Yeah, maybe that will suddenly cause him to talk. I love it.